New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro, Rosenberg, the legend, Daddy-O,
Yeah.
Stetsasonic.
Thank you.
Now, Daddy-O, first things first. Am I correct that you did the beat on Top Billin'?
Yes, sir. So, I was producing the audio too, and we were working on the A side, and we took a break. Giz, myself, and Nat Robinson, which is their father, we took a break, went upstairs. Milk was trying to push impeach the president in the SP12.
And Milk is MC Lyte's brother?
Let me say this. I don't know that to be true.
Got
I
it.
work with them. Nobody ever told me brother and sister.
Got it.
Okay, later on it was that. But
Got
I mean, I say my brother DBC in the record,
That's
and
fair.
sometimes people think DBC is my brother.
Right.
So maybe I don't know.
Okay.
But I've never because when I used to go to the house in Staten Island, it was not that.
Okay.
So Milk was trying to squeeze the honey drippers in the SP12, which only had like a half a second sampling time, and ended up triggering my drum pattern, and therein lies Top Billin'.
Top Billin' was a mistake.
Yeah, Ghost Stetsa and Top Billin' was mistakes.
Because you couldn't get in the whole drum samples. You just got the doom, cat, the kick and the
And he
snare.
wasn't even trying to make a pattern. He just got it in there and hit play. And it was my drum pattern playing that. But because of the way I played my drum pattern, it kept... Because if you listen to Top Billin', it's not the same thing over and over. A lot of people think it's just that. But if you listen to it through, it changes and all that.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And at this time, you're producing Audio 2, and Stetsasonic as a group had not formed yet.
No.
They-
We was
guys
already
were-
a band. We was already
like
a band.
81,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, around 81 to 82.
81,
Like
okay.
we what happened was we did our first release party at the Michael Todd Room at the Palladium, and Delight used to always tell me about this record called I Like Cherries, because Red Alert used to have this Tuesday night at the Latin Quarter. And Delight was staying with me at the time, and every time he used to come home, he's singing, I like cherries because cherries taste better. I'm like, what are you singing? I'm like, is it rap? He's like, it's kind of halfway rap, but not. And then when I finally went down there for a Tuesday night, I heard this record. That was the first Audio 2 single. And so by the time they came through the Michael Todd Room, I had liked them. So I grabbed Milk, and I was like, yo, if you ever need somebody to produce you, I'm here.
So take me back. Okay, let's go 81.
Right.
And we're going to talk about your new stuff and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
everything
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
Stetsasonic has
absolutely.
contributed to
Yes,
the
yes.
foundation of. Talk to me about the idea of the break of the familiar break beats and the party records then becoming rap records and that whole, as a producer, as somebody who's making records.
All of that is kind of similar to what we were talking about originally in terms of how the band formulated. So I always say hip hop, the music part. I don't want to argue with these guys about graffiti and all that. The music part of hip hop is no more than two turntables and a microphone, right? It became more than that when record companies told Lil Jon no samples, and they came in with that corny stuff. But most of the time, to me, besides for Houdini, I think all rap records are corny that don't have samples, because that's
Interesting.
what we are.
Got
Like we're two turntables and a mic.
And you say that specifically because of keeping the music
Listen to Port of Miami.
right.
I mean, all the best records that you're gonna hear right now, as much as I love Key Glock and Dolph, as much as I might love something else that I hear or something that Thugger might do, when you put it next to Port of Miami, it sounds this small.
Because you love how Ross uses these big samples.
I mean, I don't know who's A&R in them records, but this boy picked the right stuff all the time. Like, he's not failing with that. You know what I mean? So, we're two turntables and a microphone. So I was there with Marley Marl when he first sampled something. It was a guitar sampler that he had, and Tyrone Williams from Mr. Magic Show, God bless the dead, was taking us over to Queensbridge to see Marley. And when we got inside, he was like, yo, I can sample Tyrone. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he showed him how he was triggering the snare from Impeach the President. Off of that. And that was when he made the Dimples D. That was before Shan, before Shantae, all of that. And so all we wanted to do is bring those turntables in. The sampler just helped us, because other than that, we would have have to have a DJ, doing 3-second backspins the entire time we're in the studio.
And
we
that
were the
just helps-
first
that helps
generation.
you build it out.
Yeah, and we were the first generation to do that, meaning like us coming in, because in the beginning, when Melly Mel and all them was signed to Sugar Hill and Bobby Robinson was doing Funky Four and them, they were playing the same records with those bands that we were playing in the street, but it sounded cornier. Because there was the bands playing it.
It wasn't the sample.
And so,
wasn't the
and the sample gives the warmth. It gives a
yeah.
certain organic.
Oh, yeah, because let's be honest, those guys are much greater musicians than we are.
Right.
I mean, probably the best of us as a musician is probably Wyclef. But other than that, we're not all musicians like that. You know, the young guys got it because they got Zaytoven and all them, but we didn't have that. Right. So,
And now you got a Glasper and a Terrace Martin.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I mean,
there are some jazz guys out
Yeah,
here. That
yeah,
the hip hop guy Kendrick went
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
you know.
and
Yeah,
Outkast,
exactly.
Outkast used a lot of musicians like that.
oh yeah,
It's been
they
done.
was dope. But I mean, I mean, Dungeon Family. That's a
different animal
yeah.
altogether?
Yeah, because they do everything. So
So-
they got samples. They got somebody playing. They got Rico screaming in the corner because he's always screaming. That's not right. Do it different. You know, you got a mind like Sleepy Brown in the room that really is in tune with the R&B.
Did you enjoy the Roots?
Yes, I do. The one thing I will say about the Roots, to me, the Roots are more of a jazz band than a hip hop band. But yes, I do enjoy them. And Quest is a genius, so you can't really go wrong with that.
Now, there's another thing that did you guys realize in 81, 82 that the, I guess, the bridging of generations was taking place through sampling, right? The learning of the music.
Kinda. I mean, that is the lyrics to my Talking All That Jazz
That's
song.
right.
So that's what I thought was gonna happen. We did end up with some beefs. You know what I mean? Like there were people from the generation before us and 2 generations before us that really didn't dig it because they were looking at us like we were non-original.
right.
They didn't really understand that collage element of hip hop, and it took them a while. And they kind of didn't accept us until we started selling records and we was on the radio every day.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, we might have
And
to
they were
open
still
for-
mad up and into the 90s.
Yeah.
All up
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the 90s.
And there's some people that's still mad.
Right. But I will say, sitting here in 2019, one of the things that I talk about with regard to sampling and when we get into detailed nerd talk about music is the fact that some of the greatest hip-hop records of all time were already hits before.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And some of your favorite MCs of all time rhymed on pop records.
Oh, yeah.
And made, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
but it's important because for me, coming up in the 90s, that's how I went down the journey of learning.
Right.
The Bob James.
Right,
and,
right,
You know,
right.
the Steely Dan.
Yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
Weather Report.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Just getting in there.
I mean, I think that's what we made of. And, when you look at some of the bigger records that we have, that's the way they feel. I mean, kind of far and few between now. You might have a record that's quote unquote original that kind of gets there. But people are still borrowing melodies.
Samples are back. Rosenberg, how many shows have we done recently where you're like, oh, wow, they sampled that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, this is a hit. They sampled that. They sampling Beyonce from, 13 years ago.
Right,
they
right,
sampling.
right.
Yeah, well, now you're getting samples from the early 2000s because they're
Yeah.
20 years old, and we go, wow, that's crazy. But then you think about in the mid 90s, they were sampling records from the late 70s. It makes perfect sense.
And it goes back to your point. Like, I think at least what it should do is merge those generations if we do it right. You know what I mean? I think that's important. I mean, I speak about that in hip hop all the time. How my peers have to embrace their sons and daughters because there's no way in the world that you can't say Key Glock is your son. You cannot say those guys. Blueface is not hip hop. You're being blasphemous. You birthed this little kid. You know what I mean? If he's your badass kid, he's your badass kid. Go whip him, train him, teach him, whatever. But those are our children. And so...
But do you feel, to me, I'm talking to you right now, you seem much different than a lot of the people of your generation. They're not talking about Key Glock and Blueface.
They're not listening.
You're still passionate about this culture.
It's
not a
hip-hop.
specific part, but the whole thing.
It's hip-hop. It's impossible to be... I cannot put hip-hop on a time period. Because if that's the case, then I would just say we the best. Right? And I would say forget Kaz and everybody else. Forget Biggie and all them. It's just me, Kane, Shan. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could all get locked in the era and say that we the best. Everybody's going to say that their era is the best. But it's like visiting the concept of the golden age. I keep saying we need to start talking about more than one golden age. Because what was Biggie and Pac if that wasn't a golden age?
Right.
Yes, we had a golden age when we were there. So, you're looking at Kane, KRS, Stetsasonic, that's true.
Public Enemy.
Yeah, Public Enemy. But And then after Biggie, there's another golden age. So, you know what I mean? We need to start.
DMX, Ja
Yeah,
Rule.
come on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we need to really start embracing that on that level. Like it's just wrong that.
And then right now,
Yeah, and
J.
then
Cole,
exactly,
Kendrick,
exactly,
Travis Scott.
exactly.
A lot of great music. Listen, I've been saying it. Oh, it's over and over. It's every few years.
Drake.
Yeah.
Sorry,
There was
forgot
a
Drake.
Drake,
there
you're
was a there was the roughest period I think hip hop's ever had, and there was still good stuff that came out then. Was probably 04, 05, 06, 07.
I agree.
That was the roughest patch in terms of.
that was
And I'm gonna tell
because-
you why. I'm gonna tell you why.
go ahead.
Because the record companies start saying, "Don't bring back to that point. Don't bring me any samples." That's exactly why it was.
Well,
a rough
and they
time.
were dying.
Yeah, they were.
And the
Right?
labels were
and
dying.
they were
Yeah.
dying. The labels were dying.
Yep.
The streaming was coming on.
Yep,
The
yep.
downloading was heavy, and that
Yep.
was the ringtone rap.
Yeah.
the
And
And that's where we
whole-
got ringtone because they
Yeah, but
no
at least we
samples.
got Just Blaze out of the ringtone rap.
Right, yeah, that same era. I mean, he kind of was like right before, I guess right before and
Just
during
Blaze
it.
was the king of the 2-way page ringtones. Like he was the
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
him
yeah,
and Clue,
making
right?
them.
Him
of
and
making
Clue,
them.
right?
Yeah. But Blaze is making way better stuff than Clue.
Now you realize that Daddy Ostet I mean, are you going to thank him for fathering your entire style right now?
Me personally?
Yeah, you
Oh,
personally.
yeah, no, he's the original old man.
No. Not only that. Shout out to Africa, yo.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Africa. It's facts.
Yo,
facts.
that was the first time I ever learned country. ICA. Zimbabwe. That's how I learned the countries of Africa.
Wow, that's
was
dope.
on that record.
That's dope.
Is it cool for you to see now that African music's so big in America?
I mean, I always thought it could be when we had that song out. We actually toured Africa, so we went over with Bobby McFerrin and a few other people and met some of the local artists. So I always loved it. I like what they're doing with the rhythms, though, because
Drums, crazy.
yeah, it makes more reasoning for that beat pattern of reggaeton. Some of the reggaeton stuff is kind of corny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got, that kind of Caribbean almost rhythm. It's before Caribbean, but
It's really the original African
exactly.
rhythm.
Right.
So I love what and then what they're doing with the vocals is dope too. And I mean, they learned a lot from Americans.
For
Right.
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Vocally, for sure. Yeah, you.
Well, like Burna Boy, who's my favorite album right
Right.
now, he was
He's
a
dope.
dancehall artist.
he's
like
dope.
the impact of dancehall on West
Right.
Africa
Yeah,
and
yes.
African nations.
Yes.
He sounds like a dance artist in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
then you're right, rhythm-wise,
Yeah.
it's a really good way you put it.
Yeah.
A lot of what we saw between dancehall and reggaeton got corny.
Yeah.
And then with the African music, the rhythms don't feel corny. They feel really good.
And it's hunger that does that. It's always hunger that does it. Whenever someone gets comfortable, the music gets very corny. And I could say that about myself. I could say that about my peers. I could say that about anybody I know. They get comfortable.
Let's run through the family tree.
Yes.
What borough are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, East New York,
East New York.
all day.
And
All of you guys were?
No.
So who was from where?
Three of us are from East New York. Myself, Wise, and Fuquan are from East New York. DBC is from Queens. Lyte is from Queens. Bobby's from Brooklyn, but he from Brownsville, like right in the hole. And then Prince Paul is from Amityville. Sorry.
Right.
but Stetsasonic birthed. We talked about the top billing beat,
Right.
Run through the family, the lineage, if you can, off the
So
top.
a lot of people think De La Soul comes out of the native tongues. If you look at the B-side to our first single, it's called Rock De La Stet. They got their name from that song,
Right,
And
right.
just call themselves De La Soul. They used to hang out in the studio with us when we was just making stuff. So
And they were just Paul's group? Like they were
just Paul's friends.
Paul's friends,
Because
okay.
Paul wasn't even really sure. Like we really helped Paul to say, look, man, you really are a dope producer. Because this little kid was killing it. We met Paul when he was 16. We had to get permission from his mama. You know what I mean? But he had drum machines and all of that stuff. So we did all of that. And then, so Paul worked on a ton of stuff, but I think probably some of the most important earlier stuff was De La, Lyte, and Kane. From my side, I ushered in more executive power than I did. I brought Keaton Massenberg in the business. I brought Lance Rivera in the business, like that kind of stuff.
I did not know
and
that.
then, oh yeah, I mean, we made Junior Mafia in my basement.
Really?
Yeah, I started Foxy and Kim in my basement. Both of them when they first started rhyming. They started in my basement.
And they knew each other?
I introduced them to each other because they didn't know. Foxy was from somewhere around the corner, and Kim used to come. Actually, she was staying in the Bronx. I mean, I hear her say Brooklyn all the time, so maybe Kim is from Brooklyn. I don't know Kim to be from Brooklyn because when she was coming to my studio, she was coming from the Bronx. But maybe she had just moved to the Bronx.
So you were just your place at that point. You were just doing executive stuff and had a studio in your basement.
I was producing stuff, and Un's brother, my man Just, who used to run with Tyson and Uyi and them, lived right next door to me. So Un brother was like, "Yo, you need to check out Daddy-O. He be in there doing a lot of stuff." So when Un came to see me, he was like, "Yo, this is crazy. Like, this is dope. I need to introduce you to this kid." And Big, and I was just like, "Okay." And he said, "Yo, you probably see him around here," because I used to see them in the neighborhood walking down Fulton Street with these bubble vests, and they used to take the Girl Scout 666 or the Boy Scout 666 and put it on their vest. And that was Big and C's and all them. I was like, you know, them dudes that be walking down the street? He said, "Yeah, man, he could rap." So he brought Big
What
to the
year
crib.
we talking about? What year?
So I put the album out in 93. It was probably 92. Yeah, and he let Big hear my album. And Big was like, "Yeah, this is a good album. I'ma bust your ass, Daddy-O." Like, you know, Big was dope. Like, cause Big used to always, he had this line with me where he say, it's in the plan, Daddy-O. It's in the plan. Every time I saw him do something, like when we made Kim, I had Kim, well, that's the way she rhymed in the beginning, sounding like a little boy. I loved it. I thought it was crazy. If you hear my original Junior Mafia demos and all that. And he said, "Yo, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? She can't come out sounding like a boy." I was like, "Really? She's better than everybody else." And he was like, "It's in the plan, Daddy-O." When he brought Faith around, I remember he brought her around the first time. And the second time, he told me he was married to her. And I was like, "You married her?" He's like, "It's in the plan, Daddy-O." One of the most intelligent, like, Big was it, man. Like, Big was really, really smart.
I love stories like this in hip hop. Like, you just wouldn't think about the relationship between Daddy-O and Biggie, and that was like a long running relationship.
Oh, yeah. He was really, really smart. I mean, I was just saying this the other day, like, a lot of people don't realize the magic of Big, because the young people only picked up the Coogee sock and all of that. But he was really gunning at MC's life. Like, competition is the cornerstone of hip hop. And whenever you hear something really dope, somebody's gunning at another MC. That's what makes us great. And Big was always doing that. He just had that other stuff too. That was all sauce. I mean, he could have beat MCs up all day. He just happened
Puff brought the hit
yeah,
factor.
and Biggie's love for Slick Rick. That was his favorite MC. He always went, that's where you get the Give Me the Loot and the voices and all of that.
Warning and all that.
Yeah, he loved that. But yeah, but I gotta give props to Puff, because Puff, he got a pop mind still. You know what I'm saying? But
who was missing? Who should have been at Self-Destruction that wasn't there? Anyone jump out to you?
No, I mean,
No Rakim on Self-Destruction.
Straight from the mouth of
But
Wise
they
and Daddy-O
wasn't-
get robbed. And
the
dumped
people
in
that
jail.
was
You
on,
gotta go.
I tell you what I felt funny about. So I'm in the room when LL Cool J is writing MC Lyte's rhyme, and we really wanted LL on the record.
Why is he not on the record?
Because he said it was right before Mama Said Knock You Out, right after Walking with
Don't
the
say it.
Panther. Walking with the Panther, 2 million records, but a failure to him.
Yes.
Right?
And some
And
joints
he
on
said,
Walking with a Panther, too.
he said, "I don't want people who ain't heard me in a long time. I'm not coming out on that beat." And looked right at D Nice and said, I'm not gonna be on that beat when they hear me again. He didn't like the track.
So he wasn't doing it just for the culture.
No. But what happened was, I did my joint. We in
Damn,
the studio
Queens.
together. You know what I'm saying?
Self-destruction.
Self-Destruction. Heard of it?
Cool James wouldn't get on self-destruction.
You heard of it?
beat.
Yeah.
Damn,
Come on, man. What's
Queens.
wrong? What's wrong with
Queens acting
Self-Destruction?
funny style.
But you ain't mad at that. You can't be mad. You can't be mad.
not mad, I was just-
because by the time he came back with the next record, that that Mama Said Knock You Out.
No,
was
he
a
was
problem.
straight.
But
He just should have been on that record.
I'm in there.
But the record was still fire.
It
I'm
worked
doing
out.
what I'm
Super
doing.
fire.
He asked Lyte what she's doing. Lyte had a rhyme, but it was all facts. It was like reading from a fact newspaper.
Funky
10
Fresh
out of
dressed to
10
impress
10
you?
out of kids do this and no. He was like, who?
Oh, her original rhyme.
Yeah, he was like, who's going after you? And it was like Daddy-O. He's like, you can't go before Daddy-O with that. Give me that pad.
Yo, but
and
I
I
gotta tell you-
literally watched him write the rhyme.
So
I gotta tell
wrote
you,
MC
LL,
Lyte.
that doesn't sound, it doesn't feel like LL.
What
to
you
me.
mean?
Funky Fresh dressed to impress,
Well,
ready
that's
to party.
the
Money in
magic
your
of a
pocket,
big.
dine
That's
what you
that's
want.
the magic. That's
to get
the
inside,
magic
you
of
Jingle
a
it,
go
dope.
baby.
10 down.
You think about a jingling baby?
Not I don't mean bad or good. I just mean
no, a
stylistically.
party record, like or a bop. It got a bop to it.
No,
But it's
I don't
different
know.
when you writing for somebody else.
Yeah, I mean,
and he
maybe
knew
he's
he was
actually
writing for her.
That's
But you know, that's probably honestly, technically, that might be the first ghost writing in hip hop. Never thought about that, but
I mean, from a technical standpoint,
Yeah.
because I imagine in the early days it was happening before that, in the early days. I mean, did even Sugar Hill Gang record? Did they sit there and write that record?
yeah, but that wasn't they wrote everything except Hank stealing. He basically
bit
stole
his whole
Kaz's
verse.
rhyme.
Right.
Shout out to Grandmaster Kaz. He was in the video. I did a video shoot yesterday with Smith and Wesson. I brought Kaz out. So shout out to Kaz. But yeah, I mean, in the very beginning, it was really none because if you listen to Run DMC's "Here We Go" and you hear that, if you say you heard my rhyme, we're gonna have to fight because I just made the up last night. Like every night in the park, you had to go out with a new rhyme. So there was no time for somebody else to write your rhyme and you learn it and then you back in the
Right,
park.
it'd be too difficult.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So Fruitquan
Here we
went on to go do Grave Diggers.
Him and Paul.
Him and Paul, of course, yeah.
So it was for them. God bless the dead Poetic passed away, but it was RZA, Paul, and Fruitquan and Poetic.
And Poetic. But wait,
And now, did you know RZA in Staten Island?
I did not. I knew RZA from We Love You, Rakim,
Rakim, yeah.
because he was signed to Tommy Boy with us.
Right.
it's the one part that's driving me crazy about the Wu-Tang special. It's so good. The Hulu show is so good, but they skipped over. They act like in the thing, RZA's just a kid trying to make it. They skipped that he already had a deal and made it,
But
and
you
then
could
went
still
back.
be kind of still
No, you
trying
can
to
still
make
be
it with a
basically
record
not.
deal.
Yeah, like
Well,
nothing's
both of them
going on.
guys did those soft
Yeah,
records,
Jizza
right?
too.
Jizza too. He
Come
did
to
that.
me.
Yeah, he
What?
did. Yeah, he
I'm
did
just
all
kidding.
that
Nah, I remember.
when he was
Pass
on
the
Cold
bone.
Chilling.
Yeah.
So, Daddy, you got a new project.
Yes, sir. It's
And what's
called
it called?
From My Hood to You. So I teamed up with Chuck D from Public Enemy. They kind of like the back-end label because I'm not going to be the guy to try to upload to Spotify and none of that stuff. Like, I don't do the admin stuff. So, like, between 2016 and 19, we did, like, 5 albums. But finally, on this 5th album, we starting to get some burn. And it's a bumbling, doofy, goofy mistake that I made.
What you mean?
I just wasn't thinking about DJs the other 4 albums. I thought my audience was people that was working every day and having these water cooler conversations, possibly with their first grandchild, and they just wanted to hear these issues that they talk around the water cooler. So those are the records that I was making. I still love those records. Those are the records that I was making. And then in the middle of all of that, in between the last album and this one, my man Fran Lover had given me a beat, and it's this County of Kings record, and he was like, yo, I was vacationing in Atlanta. He was like, yo, D, if you still here, let's do the record. We did the record, put it out. All of a sudden, Spotify, DJ conference calls, all of that. And it was because DJs could play the record.
Right.
And I was just, I don't know how I made that mistake. I mean, I'm glad I fixed it. But then I was like, oh, this is what y'all want to hear? So I could give you that. And I just learned how to do features.
I think inherently all DJs who play clubs and
Right.
try to get people into one space to have a good time
Right.
want beats, not the lyrics. They want beats that people could bop to.
I wish I
And
would
I
have talked
think
to you before.
And I think in hip hop it's always forgotten
Yeah.
that you can take knowledge and dropping gems
Right.
and put it on top of a
bop,
beat
yeah.
that people can move to.
Yeah.
Like that's always been a thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason in the process, right,
Right.
just like it happened to you,
Yeah.
people forget that that's a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing. And I mean, so I was like, this what y'all want to hear? I could make this in my sleep. And so I started making stuff. So, and then, like I was saying, I just learned the feature game. Because when I first used to hear features, I wasn't into it. Because I was like, it seemed like these people got features just to get the song popular. I ain't into that. So I went and got features, and I'm still like, for the next album, I'm getting features now, but just my favorite guys. So I always, I'm a
you
UGK.
want it to be a feature got to be organic
Yeah,
to me.
I'm a UGK fan for life. I went and got Bun, R.A. the
Yeah.
Rugged Man. I got Pasta News from De La Soul because that's my little, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I did that. But it came out good. I mean, they killed it. Smith & Wesson, I just shot a video with them yesterday for one of the songs on the album.
So
yeah.
so people can find this all under your name, Daddy-O.
Professor Daddy.
Professor Daddy-O.
And it's more advantageous to me if you go to my Bandcamp page. But it's everywhere. The name of the album is From My Hood to You. But, ProfessorDaddio.bandcamp.com.
Yo, listen,
better for me.
the door's open so we can continue these stories another time because
Oh,
I know you got
absolutely. Absolutely.
endless stories. We had you on One Epstein a couple years ago.
Yes.
Now there's just always more stories from you
yeah.
that take me.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's great
Hey,
seeing you.
anytime, brother. Anytime. I appreciate the love.
Yeah, for sure. Y'all go check that. From his hood to yours, Professor Daddio. Yo,
Thank
give
you,
it
man.
up one time,
Legend.
man. The legend, man.